Well, hello, everyone, and welcome to the NFL version of Proline. I'm going to take a look at the Super Bowl props on this week's show. Got some information on the Super Bowl, some stats and trends, plus matchups to look at. Plus, we've got some free Super Bowl props we're going to give out, all courtesy of JimFeist.com. First, if you want to get Jim's call on the Super Bowl side and total, you can go to JimFeist.com. Plus, Jim has prop bets available now on the website. Here's what he has: a pack of 3 packs of Super Bowl props, 3 props in one package. Each package is $25. You'll get a 3-pack with props that are angled toward the Denver Broncos, one toward the Carolina Panthers, and then one for the game overall. In addition, he's got a high roller prop too. It's a single prop bet, his top prop bet on the board. You can find all that at jimfeist.com. Just go to the website, click on the picks at the top of the page, or you can click on Jim's icon. It'll take you right to those places. Or you can call 1-888-672-0800. All right, let's first start with some information on the game. You got Denver trailing here as a 4-point dog, and now it's Carolina up to 6 as a favorite in the Super Bowl in Santa Clara. The total has also gone up from 45 to 46. Las Vegas has 69% of the individual tickets written have been on the Carolina Panthers. Weather report for Sunday's game looks great. 73 degrees, sunny, not much wind at all. It's going to be a beautiful day for Super Bowl 50 in Santa Clara, which is played on natural grass. First, I'll start off with some Super Bowl factoids on the game. It's only going to be the second Super Bowl featuring the number 1 scoring offense. That's Carolina with 31.3 points per game, against the number 1 total defense in the Denver Broncos, giving up just 283 yards per game. Now, the first such game was 2 years ago, and that was Seattle overwhelming Peyton Manning and Denver 2 years ago in a 43-8 blowout, and Seattle was an underdog in that game. In addition, this Carolina offensive line is really spectacular and record-setting because they have rushed for over 100 yards in 31 straight games, and that counts the playoffs. Well, nobody's done that since the Steelers in the late 1970s. Now, that Pittsburgh team won 4 Super Bowls in 6 years, 4-0 run. They had Franco Harris in company, and they ran for over 100 yards in 37 consecutive games. So the Panthers' offensive line is just outstanding, record-setting, and it's no surprise that Carolina is 20-1 straight-up run going back to last season. In addition, Cam Newton, well, yeah, he's the quarterback, but he's also very tough to bring down, so he's also a terrific when it comes to running the football. How many quarterbacks have run for over 50 yards in Super Bowl play? Well, not surprising, a couple of mobile quarterbacks in Steve McNair and Colin Kaepernick have done that. Kaepernick just 4 years ago. Another one that may surprise you, the third one, is Joe Montana. He rushed for 59 yards in one Super Bowl game. So if you're looking for Cam to set a record, he's certainly capable of doing it. The record here is 59 with Montana, and he certainly has a chance to do it, although he's facing this dominant, top-ranked Denver defense. And finally, here you have a matchup with the number 1 ranked defense as far as total yards, and they are 9-2 straight up in Super Bowl play. And only 2 of them have lost the Super Bowl game. And one of them was last year. Seattle Seahawks lost as the top-ranked defense. Of course, they had run the ball in that final play when they had the offensive on the field. Perhaps this record would be 10-1, but as it is, it's 9-2, and the only other team was the 1982 Dolphins. That was a strike year. All right, let's take a look at some of the numbers coming in. Strengths of schedule for this season. May surprise you that the easiest schedule as far as strength of schedule in the NFL with these Carolina Panthers with this sizzling 17-1 record. Yeah, they had the easiest schedule when you look at the strength. On the other hand, they beat the Seattle Seahawks twice. One was on the road. That was not an easy game they played. And then Arizona Cardinals were one of the best teams in the NFL this year. And Carolina crushed them the last game 2 weeks ago, 49-15. Denver Broncos had a top 10 strength of schedules. That's interesting. The team with a better strength is a underdog in this one. I'm going to give you some numbers on the last time that these teams met. It was the 2012 season. Don't read too much into these because it was so long ago and very different teams. On the other hand, the coach was the quarterbacks were the same. It was Peyton Manning against Cam Newton. Game was at Carolina. 3.5 point line with a total of 46. Well, the Broncos rolled that game 34 to 14. Denver was 6-2, but Carolina not very good at 2-7. Denver was a road favorite, won in the game, and covered easily. Manning was sensational in that game, 301 yards passing, only 1 sack, only 1 touchdown, but no picks. Cam Newton played, and he had a very difficult afternoon against the Denver defense. 21 of 36 passing, 241 yards. But he was sacked 7 times by this attacking Denver defense, finished with 2 touchdowns and 2 interceptions. Running back Jonathan Stewart was also a part of that game, and he couldn't do anything against this Denver run defense. 31 yards on just 8 carries. That works out to 3.9 yards per carry. Denver lost 2 fumbles, so it really was a sloppy game. 4 turnovers total when these teams last met in the game. Linebacker Von Miller for Denver played in the game. He harassed Cam Newton all day, part of that 7-sack effort. And one of the games was a safety on Cam Newton. And they pressured Cam Newton so much that it forced him into an interception, which was returned for a touchdown. So the Denver defense also scored in the game. And tight end Greg Olsen, the star player for Carolina, he had a monster game, 9 catches for 102 yards and 2 touchdowns, and he will be also playing in this game. All right, let's make a case first for the Denver Broncos and the Carolina Panthers. We'll start with Carolina's. How do we make a case for Carolina? Well, it's not that difficult. With a 20-1 mark going back last couple of years, Carolina has also been covering games, 11-4 against the spread. Very difficult team Carolina is to defend because they can do anything they want. They can run the ball extremely effectively, which we mentioned. They can also pass. And they've got a top defense, too, top 6 in the NFL as far as total yards. And they also have the superior quarterback in this game with Cam Newton. They beat Seattle, a great defense, rolling up a 31-0 first half lead. Very impressive against the Seattle defense. And then, of course, the Arizona game. Strong all-around Arizona team. They just cleaned up the field with the Cardinals' 49-15 rout. So this team really has no weaknesses and has done it all. If you're looking for one weakness, it might be experience in these big games. And that's where you can make a case for Denver. First of all, the number 1 overall ranked defense, an underdog in the Super Bowl, highly unusual in regular season matchups as well as postseason. This Denver team has plenty of experience. They were in this Super Bowl just 2 years ago, and a lot of the guys on that team are back here. So they've got plenty of Super Bowl experience. I mentioned the strength of schedule. They had the tougher schedule according to that, and here they are in the Super Bowl, and they just beat a top quarterback 2 weeks ago. And this defense has been dominant in the postseason. Helped Ben Roethlisberger to 13 points in a playoff win. And then they did it in the last game, too, allowing just 18 points. So what do these teams want to do in the game? Well, let's start with the Denver Broncos. What do they want to do? They really don't want to get into a track meet. We know that. Their game is to play ball control. They love to run the football. Not a great offensive line and not a great running team. On the other hand, they force the run with zone blocking, which Gary Kubiak has brought in. And they have a very nice 1-2 punch with Ronnie Hillman and C.J. Anderson. Both these guys over 718 yards rushing for the season. It's a nice change of pace, too. They also have some very good skill position guys to go to in Demaryius Thomas, Emmanuel Sanders, and tight end Owen Daniels. So they can score if they get behind. Just haven't seen it a lot, and that's not their style. Their style is to play great defense, punt the ball when they have to, force the other team into bad field position, win the battle of field position. They're not afraid to kick field goals. They're not afraid to win low-scoring games. So that'll be the game plan for this one. Now, what does Carolina want to do? Well, they can play any style. That's one of the unique things about this team. Great offensive line, great running attack, not just with their top back in Stewart, but with Cam Newton. He's capable of taking off when nobody's open, and he's such a handful to try and bring down. And he's got some very good targets to go to with the speedy Newton, or speedy wide receiver, as well as the tight end. Ted Ginn is the wide receiver, 739 yards. And then Greg Olsen, too. He's been his top target, over 1,100 yards receiving on the year. And then the defense, too. Don't overlook the Carolina defense. They've been great all year, top 6 in yards allowed, and they've been dominant, too, in the postseason. So they can play any style. Got to believe Denver is going to try and control the tempo. It's going to be interesting if Carolina gets out in front. It's going to force Manning and Denver to maybe throw in some trick plays. It's one of the prop bets to keep an eye on. How many players are going to throw a pass in the game? It's 2.5, which is the common number. Well, two are definitely going to throw, the two quarterbacks. So is there going to be one other player to throw a pass, wide receiver or a running back on an option pass? I wouldn't be surprised if that does happen, because the offensive coordinator for, the coach for the Denver Broncos, he was very good running the Denver Broncos, the Baltimore Ravens offense. Gary Kubiak did 1 year ago. He called a brilliant game plan against the Patriots in the playoffs a year ago. Had a very good Patriots defense on its heels with all kinds of trick plays and unusual formations. And I can see him looking at this game saying, hey, we're an underdog. Let's break out the playbook and have somebody throw a pass. So that would be one certainly to look at. So as to what's going to happen, all right, I'll give you a pick on the game. I think Denver is going to pull out all the stops. They've got a coaching staff that does that. The coaching staff on defense, Wade Phillips, has been outstanding all year long and in the playoffs. I think they outcoached the Patriots in that previous game. And they have the capability and the talent on defense to keep this game close. They got the experience from 2 years ago being in the Super Bowl, and that's something that Cam Newton doesn't have. He's still a young quarterback and has not been on the big stage before in the Super Bowl. Don't know how he's going to react. He has thrown some picks that have been wobbly. I saw some against the Giants when they played in that game, and then, of course, the game against the Atlanta Falcons, he made some boneheaded plays in that one. And this, the whole country is going to be watching this one. It's not your ordinary game, and it's not an ordinary defense that he's going to be facing either. So I will look at, I'll predict the final score here of Denver pulling the straight-up win, 27-24. Wouldn't be surprised to see a high-scoring game either, because historically they have been high-scoring. Going back 40 years, the over is 24-16 in Super Bowls. This game is going to be played on natural grass. When the Super Bowl is on grass, it's 19-10 over the total. And one final point, Super Bowl underdogs have done extremely well of late, a 10-4 spread run. There were a lot of big underdogs, too, winning the game straight up. So that's the final score from Las Vegas on this one. Okay, let's take a look at some prop bets. I got tons of prop bets here. Vegas puts them out 2 weeks before the game, and we get tons of props. I'm going to give you some free prop bets to look at. First of all, Cam Newton, the quarterback for Carolina, will he score a touchdown? Well, the yes is plus 140, and go with the yes on that one, because this guy is not your ordinary quarterback. He's big, he's tough to tackle. He is the second leading rusher on the Panthers. He led the team with 10 rushing touchdowns this season. The last 3 games, Cam Newton has 4 rushing touchdowns. He has 5 rushing touchdowns over the last 4 contests. So basically, this guy's averaged 1 TD in the postseason. And I can't see Carolina getting up, 13-0 or 17-3, and then kind of sitting on it as they did against Seattle in a playoff game. This is the last game of the season. They're going to go for points, and that's going to give, if you like the total, it's going to be a high-scoring game, but also it's going to give Carolina more opportunities to score. So Cam Newton at plus 140 to score a touchdown, sure, take a shot with that. The longest pass completion by Peyton Manning for the Super Bowl. Well, the over-under in Vegas is at 34.5. It's kind of a low total for quarterbacks, and that's because there have been doubts about Peyton Manning's arm. He took a couple months off to rest his arm as well as get his foot healthy, and he certainly has seemed to be a better quarterback. No turnovers here in the playoffs, as long as you don't count that backwards pass against New England, but no interceptions. And he doesn't have bad targets to throw to if he has to throw, which he will at some point in this game. Look at the numbers on some of these guys. Both Manuel Sanders and Demaryius Thomas over 1,000 yards receiving for the year. So despite the fact that Denver is a run-first team, he's got great wide receivers to throw to, and these guys are in their prime, 27 and 28 years old. Demaryius Thomas is a tall target to throw to. He can just lob it up there if he has to, and Thomas has the capability of outfighting anybody. He ended up with 1,304 yards receiving for the year, and then Emmanuel Sanders is quick, fast, 1,135 yards receiving. He had a big catch against the Patriots 2 weeks ago. And then there's Owen Daniels, 2 touchdowns in the previous game. Very capable target, and if they have to go with Vernon Davis at some point, a double tight end formation to help with the running game, he's also a valuable, talented, experienced target to go to. And all you need is for to go over 34.5 yards is one big play or even one target breaking a tackle. That's possible too. He catches a 10-yard pass, which Manning is very good at, breaks a tackle and runs for 34 or 40 yards. You don't have to do that once to get over this number, so I think that's a viable shot. Peyton Manning over 34.5 yards for his longest pass completion. All right, here's a plus money prop. Will both teams make a field goal of 33 yards or longer, plus 110? Well, sure, you've got two outstanding, sensational defenses here. They're both top 5 in the NFL. They're dominant in red zone play. So can I see a situation where both these field goal kickers are going to be called to make field goals? Well, yeah, with these defenses being so great in the red zone, with Denver going conservative, particularly in the first half, trying to run the football in the red zone. Carolina, great run defense. Yeah, and the kickers for both teams are extremely reliable. Brandon McManus for Denver, when he was asked to make field goals from 20 to 39 yards, he's been perfect this season, 20 of 20. And then Carolina kicker Graham Gano, 14 of 15 yards from that distance, 14 of 15 for the season. Extremely competent kickers. I can see both teams, both field goal kickers hitting at least one 33-yard field goal or longer. It's a nice plus money prop bet. Another prop bet would be Cam Newton's first pass attempt. Will it be incomplete? Well, it's plus 140 on the incomplete. Yeah, I would take that for a couple of reasons. First of all, he's a young quarterback. Nerves, maybe, early in the game. And he's not facing an ordinary defense here. This is a fantastic Denver defense. The safeties come up. The cornerbacks are outstanding. And they're aggressive. They hit hard when tackling, which can knock the ball loose. And they face the great Patriots passing offense twice, including the last game. And they were absolutely sensational at stifling Tom Brady and the great Patriot passing offenses, including the tight end Rob Gronkowski and Julian Edelman came back, and they stuffed them. So Cam Newton's first pass complete, if it's over the middle against the Denver secondary or deep, I can see that being incomplete, and you get terrific plus money here at plus 140. In addition, this is 2 weeks now that these teams have had to rest and prepare for the Super Bowl. You have to think about the rust factor on these quarterbacks, particularly on the first series of play. When they get out there on the field, maybe they're a little rusty, and it's going to take them a series or two to get going. So all of that would favor Cam Newton's first pass attempt being incomplete. Another one here, another prop, would be the first score of the Super Bowl. Is it going to be a touchdown, or is it going to be a field goal or a safety? In other words, any other score other than a touchdown. Well, I'm going to go with a field goal of the safety, which is also plus money at plus 130. In the two AFC title games, I was looking at taking each one at plus money, and then ended up breaking even 1-1. However, they were both plus money, plus 155 and plus 135, and Carolina did kick a field goal to start that game. So there was you cashed if you just split, and when you can make plus money going 1-1, a 50% record, hey, that's the name of the game, is to grind out some type of profit. And so in this game, you got two outstanding defenses that are great in the red zone. And I can see a situation where both teams get down within scoring position, but can't get a touchdown early on, so they have to settle for a field goal. Denver, we know, likes to play conservative. I can see them kicking a field goal first. So that's not a bad prop at all. All right, if you're looking for props from JimFeist.com, Jim's got a whole bunch of props available now. If you want to get a 3-pack of props, he has a bevy, a trio of those going. 3-pack of props, all tied to the Denver Bronco players. Another 3-pack of props, all tied to the Carolina players. Another 3-pack of props tied to situations that are going to happen in the game. In addition, he's got a high roller prop. It's one play, but it's a high roller release. All these plays and more at JimFeist.com, or if you want to get them at his office, just call 1-888-672-0800. All right, that'll do it for the Prop Super Bowl edition of Proline. Good luck with the games, everyone, and we'll see you next week.